I feel good and bad for the people involved with creating For Honor, because as it stands, I think they have one of the best or one of the better gaming communities that exist right now for a new AAA intellectual property. So I feel good for them because they've got a positive fan base. There's a lot of people that enjoy For Honor, but I feel bad for them because there's also a lot of people that hate it. But the fact that they have a good balance of love and hate is what makes the community so enjoyable. And it was really enjoyable when I was a part of it, because I used to check the Reddit for Honor all the time. And what would happen is I'd go on and I'd see plenty of complaints about balance and server issues and whatnot, and they were all justifiable. There was there were plenty of for anybody that doesn't know, For Honor is a medieval fighting game, and there were certain characters that were overpowered at the start of the game, and they introduced new DLC characters, and some of those were overpowered. Most notably, the Centurion became a very serious meme. He had this combo where he could just kick you and punch you against the wall and get you basically stuck in a cutscene that you had no way to get out of. And obviously, people were up in arms about this, like, yo, Ubisoft Montreal, y'all better nerf this before it gets out of control. It's already out of control. Get off your asses, fix your game, guys, blah, blah, blah. And people were up in arms. But at the same time, people were making memes about it and having fun with the fact that there was an overpowered character that was completely broken, and people were still playing it and getting mad at people for playing the overpowered character. But there was this beautiful mix of love and hate at the same time. So I feel bad and good for them for having to simultaneously deal with that love and hate, because I think that's what makes a good community. And even more to that is the guys that made For Honor, my hat goes off to them and the developers of that game, because they're very communicative, and that's a big deal nowadays, having a developer that is willing to come and speak to the community and become an active part of the community and the level that they took it to. I think one of the guys, his name was Damien, and there was this other guy named Ramon, and the community even made memes about them, and they would laugh about it on their live streams and stuff. And it was just this really beautiful sharing experience. I sound so lovey-dovey right now, but I was so much fun to feel like I was sharing in that experience with the guys that made the game that I enjoyed so much. And I imagine a lot of other people enjoyed that, getting on, making fun of the developers making fun of themselves, and the community bitching to them, and them responding to the complaints and trying to make the game better based on the feedback. Because it wasn't without struggle, right? One of the biggest controversies for Honor was at the start of the game, somebody did the math on something, and they determined how long it would take to grind for all of the cosmetic and different equipment that's available in the game, and they came up with some crazy number. I don't have the exact article, but let's just say, for the sake of discussion, that it would take 8,000 hours to collect everything in the game, or you could spend $200. These are just rough estimates. I don't have the article again. You could probably find it if you look it up. I'm not going to look it up right now because I'll see if I can find it. Hold on. Here we go. Well, this is way longer than 8,000 hours. So the name of this article, Unlocking Every Cosmetic in For Honor Takes 2.5 Years Because You're Not Meant to Do It, says Ubisoft. So essentially it took forever to unlock everything. And the developers' reasoning for having such a slow progression system is because they wanted to provide longevity with the game. But the malicious side to that is that you could also go in and just buy all the cosmetics for a crazy amount of money. So that obviously it's a conflict of interest or something to that effect, where people feel like, oh, you're encouraging me to spend extra money when I already spent $60 on your game. This is a problem, right? So they came out, they spoke about it, and people said, all right, guys, you're full of shit. You better make things more accessible. And they did. They turned around. They increased the rate at which you gain the in-game currency that you use to purchase cosmetics and other equipment for your character, and everything was hunky-dory. And after that controversy was over, after they made the changes, the community moved on, and they said, all right, well, let's get back to talking smack and having a good old time and talking about balance and playing the game, but also trying to give positive feedback and very critical, strong feedback, so that we can make this a better time for everyone. And that's what it was all about. And it was just so good to be a part of that. And the reason this is coming up for me right now is because when I first purchased Destiny 2 on October 24th, I bought it the day before because I wanted to preload it, so I bought it the day before and did the preloading and whatnot. And I was excited to become a part of a new community and to just go through that whole experience again of finding out what's overpowered and then reading about people complaining about it. And then you always got that one contrarian guy that says, actually, this weapon is really good and you guys are stupid. And, all that silly stuff. And then I start going to the forums and the Reddits, and it's all complaints and no fun. There's virtually no memes on the main Destiny Reddit, and it's not a good time over there. And I get it. There's plenty of stuff to talk about, but come on, can we just have a little fun? I just want to have a little fun. That's all. I just want to have a little fun. Is it wrong that I just want to have a little fun in my video games? Let's make video games great again. How about that? That's my slogan. I'm running for video game president of the world, and I want to make video games great again. That's my goal in life. I don't know. It just seems like it's never ending sometimes. It just seems like there's always something. There's always something to complain about, obviously. But here's my problem. I go on the Destiny Reddit, and there's a problem, right? So the last issue that there was in the Destiny community was that there was an EX and an experience point scaling system to the way it was explained on the official Bungie podcast was something to the effect that they created an experience point scaling system to balance out the experience you earn through all sorts of activities. So if you like to grind public events, you'd roughly gain the same amount of experience that you get if you like to grind strikes or if you like to grind raids or whatever. That's how it was explained to me on the official Bungie podcast. I'll try to find a link to it. But who knows? Maybe they're just evil corporate scumbags, and they were really just trying to get people to buy more microtransactions. Because what the experience points were for after you reach the level cap was for earning free cosmetic items for your character that you can also purchase. But maybe they were scaling the EXP and throttling it down so that you feel compelled to spend real hard-earned money on dumb cosmetic stuff. I don't know what the real story is, but that's what it was. So that was a whole debacle. They come out, they explain themselves, and then they do something to get rid of the system, whatever. Something happened, and it was like, okay, the consumer did win in a sense, because we uncovered an issue, and the biggest issue with the system was that it wasn't being accurately represented in the user interface. So the user interface would say that you're gaining 100,000 experience from doing, let's say, a public event, and in actuality, you were only gaining 1,000 experience. So, and that was a problem, because there should be transparency in these things. And once the controversy was over, I was like, okay, we actually did resolve something, and all right, it's good that problem was able to be vocalized and fixed. And then as soon as that problem was over, there was a shift to another problem that had no reason to be even. It just felt like it was a problem that was being talked about just to be talked about. Because like a couple of days after the whole EXP controversy was over, then everybody seemed to start talking about how the story in Destiny 2 was trash. And the story in Destiny 2 was kind of trash, but at the same time, it wasn't awful. Because it's one of those games in a similar vein to For Honor, where it was a dumb action movie, right? I've always likened For Honor and games like it and their stories to The Expendables. You go in and you get a bunch of explosions and blood, guts, and gore and some crappy dialogue. We're going to save these people. Let's do it. Blah, 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 or whatever. And the story ends. There's a little bit of conflict. There's a resolution. The hero walks away. He makes a triumphant pose, puts his hands on his hips, thumbs up. And that was it. And that's what I felt like I got with Destiny. It was a pretty ABC story. You go here, you go there, you shoot this bad guy, shoot that bad guy. There's some cutscenes, there's some talking, there's a funny robot making jokes all the time. His name is Cade. And it was fine. It wasn't the worst thing ever. It wasn't the best thing ever, but I'll take it. But what seemed like it was going on was, as soon as the experience point controversy was over, it seemed like the Destiny community was grasping at something else to just be angry about. So it immediately shifted to, okay, it's time for us to hate on the story. It's time for us to talk about how crappy the story is. And then the Curse of Osiris DLC comes out. And they're following the same pattern. It's ABC. We're going to go here, kill this guy, blah, 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 do that thing. The Curse of Osiris is gone. The curse is lifted. There wasn't even really a curse. The curse was more of a... I don't really know. It was just whatever. But it wasn't horrible. It was about a 2-hour-long DLC campaign. It was overpriced in my opinion. It was only worth about $10, but it cost $20. And it felt to me as if the entire community was actively trying to not have fun. But here's where it gets murky, because whenever I talk about this stuff, and whenever anybody hears somebody talk about this stuff, it sounds like I'm trying to shut down people complaining. And if you've made it this far, congratulations, but understand that I am not trying to stop people from complaining, because there's plenty of shit to complain about. But when it feels like the entire community is actively trying to hate, instead of enjoying the actual good stuff in the game and talking about that, which there is plenty of, then it just becomes like, it's killing me inside a little bit. My tummy hurts from all the anger and all the salt. It's giving me high blood pressure. What was that voice? But does that make sense? Does that make any sense at all? What I'm trying to say is, Destiny 2, if you don't like the game, fine, I understand. Leave the comment, oh my god, the game is dead, Destiny 2 sucks, Bungie's evil. Please, feel free to leave that comment down below, because I get it. I understand why people dislike the game. But in that same breath, as somebody that does enjoy the game, I can't, and even if I was looking at it as an outsider objectively, I can see that there is a framework in place that makes a solid first-person shooter RPG experience. There is stuff to grind for. There are bits of challenging content to chase after. The raiding content is some of the best raiding content I've ever done, period. I've played MMORPGs for my entire gaming career. Final Fantasy XI, Final Fantasy XIV, Terra, Blade and Soul, and plenty of others that I can't even think of right now. Wildstar, I'm not going to keep naming them. RuneScape, yeah. But Destiny 2 does have really great RPG elements and really great first-person shooter elements. And the player versus player, all that stuff. There's a lot of stuff in there that makes a fun package, and so much of that it just seems like it doesn't get discussed as much as it I don't know, needs to, or maybe I should just say that I wish it was discussed more, because I do genuinely feel like there is a lot of good to be talked about in the game, and personally I prefer making my fun little videos about weapons and exotics and all that stuff, as opposed to ranting and raving about microtransactions and wishing that there was a little bit more fun to be had amidst all of the controversies that should and need to be talked about. Yeah, keep fighting the good fight. All right, if there's something wrong, then don't stop fighting to get it fixed, to make it right. But at the same time, video games are supposed to be fun. They're supposed to bring some joy. And if you don't like a particular video game, that's fine. But you don't have to actively try to hate it. But at the same time, I'm not trying to preach to you. You could do whatever you want. I'm a grown-ass man. I'll do what I want. You a grown-ass man. You do what you want. So at the end of the day, this whole conversation has gone nowhere. So we're back to square one. Let's continue raging against the machine. I don't know. So maybe I made a point here. Maybe I didn't. But either way, my name is Rob, and I've been talking about gaming communities. So if you can make sense out of anything that was talked about over the last 10 or so minutes, then drop a comment. If it didn't make sense, then you can leave a comment as well. But it is what it is. It's all been said, and hopefully it kind of makes sense. That would be nice. But on that note, we're going to wrap it up here by saying thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.